Hello and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I'm Casey, and today these are the 6 bracelets that I will be making, and most of the parts came from GGC's Summer Bling Fling treasure bag, and I will link that opening video below. But as I said multiple times in that video, I am just super excited about this treasure bag, and you really can't beat the price for the amount of beads that you get in that bag. I will also have the link below if you would like to be notified for when she releases her next bag. The bag is a one-of-a-kind bag, and once it's sold out, it is sold out. So you definitely want to get on that notification list so that you will be one of the first ones to know when the next one is released. One of the things for when I was creating these bracelets was the bag is just so inspiring that I just kind of continued creating. And as you will see, the treasure bag came with 5 toggle clasps in the bag. But as I was creating, I wasn't really thinking about how many were in the bag, and I just continued to create more bracelets. So I ended up having to use 1 toggle clasp from my own stash, but that is okay. As you can see, I created my own handmade charms that coincide with the beads that were in each bracelet. And I am super excited to show you how I made these bracelets. So if you would like to see how these bracelets came about, then stay tuned. Okay, so getting right into it, starting with the tools that I will be using. I'm going to be using 2 sets of chain nose pliers, 1 set of cutters, and 1 set of round nose pliers. I will also be using 1 set of crimping pliers. And I want to mention my tool set. It's the Casual Comfort tool set. I highly recommend this set, and I will have it linked down below. It's a very high quality set, very, very well made, and very comfortable to use. Biggest thing to me for this tool set is the grips. A lot of times in stores, the grips for tools will be a little bit smaller, and I really like how comfortable it is to use this tool set with these adult size grips. And even if you don't get this tool set, I highly recommend investing in your tools. To me, it is just worth the investment. I will also be using 49 strand bead along wire in the color Bright, and I always get 100 feet because I go through it so quickly. And it just, that to me, it lasts a little bit longer. And that color Bright is this bright silver color. And I just ran out of this one, which is why I'm showing you in the new one I just bought. It's that bright silver color. And I already poked a hole in this one, so it's not quite as nice and easy to see as this one right here. And you can probably see that this is silver and all of my findings are gold. But once everything is put together, you won't even be able to see that the wire is silver. So I will be using these 3 bicones, and they are AAA grade faceted bicones in lavender and purple. And I will also be using these 8 by 6 millimeter faceted matte purple gray rondelles. And I'm also going to be using these 2 millimeter cube beads in purple. The clasp that I will be using for each one of the bracelets today are these gold toggle clasps that came in the treasure bag. Now, the treasure bag came with 5 sets, and I did make 6 bracelets, so I am using 1 toggle clasp from my own stash, but the other 5 are just like this one. All right, so everything else is from my stash. So we have all the findings, the jump rings, crimp covers, crimp tubes, wire guardians, and we have these 3 millimeter spacer beads, this round spacer beads, and these 4-leaf bead caps. All right, so I've already cut a piece of wire, and it's going to be about 12 inches long. And I'm going to put on a crimp tube, jump ring, and wire guardian. I'm going to put it through one side, wrap it around, and put it back through the other. And then you want to make sure that jump ring goes up in the wire guardian and pull that crimp tube back out so both ends of the wire can go through that crimp tube, just like that. And I'm going to pinch that wire guardian closed with my fingers. And I don't need a tail quite that long, so I'm going to pull that longer side and then push up the crimp tube. And now I'm going to hold that wire separated so that it's not overlapping. Tug on the long one so it's nice and snug. I'm going to take my crimping pliers, go into that second groove, give it a good smash. You're going to get that taco shape. I'm going to turn it on its side and go into the first groove and give it another smash. And then I like to go in with that flat part on the end, give it a final smash. That way it's nice and snug. I'm holding the strand by the jump ring. I'm going to take that crimp cover and place it right over that smashed crimp tube, just like that. And then I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to go in with my chain nose pliers and give it a gentle smash. And then go front to back with a gentle smash. Give it that round shape. And that's how we start each strand. So now it's going to be the order of the beads. So I'm going to start with one of these 2mm cubes, then bead cap facing up, rondelle, bead cap facing down. I'm going to push that down and make sure that tail goes in. So just like that, and you want to repeat that set right there 4 more times. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to work on that center component. The only thing that I added was an extra cube on the end right here. So now that center component, we're going to have one of the 3mm spacer beads, and then the brighter purple one, and then the 3mm spacer, and then the darker purple, 3mm spacer, lighter purple, 3mm spacer. So simple back and forth, but you want that darker bicone in the center, the large bicone. There is the bracelet so far with that center component. You're going to do the exact same thing that we have on this side over here. All right, so here is the entire bracelet. It's completely beaded. And now all we have left to do is close it off on this side. So I'm going to add a crimp tube, a jump ring, and a wire guardian. Put it through one side, wrap it around, put it through the other. And then you have that jump ring up in the wire guardian and both ends of the wire through the crimp tube. So I'm going to close that guardian wire with my fingers and then pull on that tail, and I'm going to get that tail to go through the first couple of beads. All right, so now I'm going to hold on to that jump ring and pull that tail pretty snug. Now, you do want to be careful. You want to make sure that bracelet has flexibility. So you want to move it around. You do not want it to be completely stiff and not be mobile at all. So you want it to move around. All right, so now I'm going to go in with my crimping pliers into that second groove. Give it a good smash. Get that taco shape. Go in with that first groove. Turn it on its side. Give it another smash. And that's pretty good. But I want to go back in with that flat part on the end and give it a final smash. That way it is nice and snug. All right, I'm gonna hold on to that jump ring, go with that crimp cover right over that crimp tube, and then flip it up. I'm gonna go in with my chain nose pliers and give it a gentle smash. Then I'm gonna come front to back. Oh, that tail's sticking up, I haven't cut it yet. I'm gonna go in front to back. Give it that round shape. All right. Now I'm gonna get my cutters, go in as close as I can on that tail. All right, and then I wanna poke it into that next bead. In this case, it's gonna be a bead cap, just like that. All right, so here is the bracelet. So now I want to make the charm before I put on the clasp. And you can certainly buy your own charms, but sometimes I like to make my charms so that the beads match exactly. The charm that I'm going to be making, I have a 2-inch ball pin. I'm gonna have a bead cap facing up, rondelle, bead cap facing down, and then 2mm crystal. So now that is the order right there. I'm gonna go in with my round nose pliers just above that 2mm cube. Bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, then I'm gonna go back in with my round nose pliers and close the loop. And there's my charm, just like that. So now I'm going to add the clasp to the bracelet. Of course, I'm going to use the jump rings that are on there. Open the jump ring. I'm going to add the charm. And the charm needs to go on the side with the round part, the loop part of the toggle clasp. Close that jump ring. The other side, open the jump ring, and now you're gonna put the other side of the toggle clasp, the bar, and close that jump ring. All right, so here is the final piece, and here is the bracelet. And then on the other side, you have the clasp and the little charm. On to the next one. So for this one, I will be using the 7.5 by 4.5 column crackle painted beads in blue. You can see those veins in there. And then I will be using the 6mm dyed round glass pearls. Everything else is going to be from my own stash. I'm going to be using these 4mm bicone beads, the same 3mm spacers. I'm going to be using these flower-shaped bead caps. And I've already started this strand, so if you need that reminder, you can always go back to that first strand. So the order for the beads this time is going to be a bicone, bead cap facing up, crackle bead, bead cap facing down, and then we're gonna go down to the other end and tuck that tail in to the first beads. Here's that pattern. We're going to repeat this 2 more times. All right, there it is. Now, for the next few beads in this strand, we're gonna have a simple back and forth. We're gonna have a 3mm spacer and a 6mm pearl. We're gonna repeat this right here 3 more times. All right, so here is one side of this bracelet. Now the center component is going to be exactly one section of this blue part. So the center component is going to be a bicone, bead cap facing up, crackle bead, bead cap facing down, bicone. So that is the very simple center component. So now you're going to create this half on this side over here, and just do it, of course, in reverse, where the white beads are here and the blue beads are on the outside. and we'll meet back up after we create this half over here. All right, so here we are with that other side completed. And as you can see, as far as the order of the beads, it was the exact same. And I went ahead and I closed it off. And again, if you need a reminder on how to do that, you can always head back up to that first bracelet. So I put on the same toggle clasp and I added my own handmade charm. And there is the order, made just the same way as that first bracelet, except with the crackle bead, of course the 2 bead caps on either end, and a bicone. And I used a ball end pin. And again, I recommend putting any charms that you have on toggle clasp bracelets on the side with the hoop, mainly because when you go to close it and you have to pull that bar through the hoop, doesn't mean it's impossible, but if you have charms here on this jump ring on the bar side, it can get in the way of being able to close that toggle clasp. So I definitely recommend making sure you put your charms on the hoop side, the loop side of the toggle clasp. So here is the second bracelet. We'll bring that first one back in. So here we go. Place that down there. All right, so now I want to show you some of the other ones that I made using this treasure bag. And every bracelet that I show you is going to be made in this exact method. So once you see the order of the beads, then you know you can always go back to that first strand if you need that help on how to start it off, you know, and place the beads in that order and how to close it off on the other end. And each one of these bracelets is gonna have one of those handmade charms. So here is the next one. So you can see I used those pentagon beads from the treasure bag that are absolutely beautiful, and I put in my own spacers in between, and then I used 2 of the blue bicones in the center of this one instead of the purple ones. So I used the blue ones for this one. And then I have 3 millimeter spacers on either side and the 5 millimeter spacer on the center of this one. And then the same method on the other side. And then the charm is one of those pentagon beads with those 3 millimeter spacers. I think in a lot of circumstances, handmade charms or charms using the exact same beads that you used in the bracelet, I mean, they tend to kind of match a little bit more. And that's not saying that other charms do not. I use, you know, metal charms all the time, but they just kind of tie in a little bit closer. Here is the next one. And I absolutely love these painted flower beads. These are just, in my opinion, the most beautiful beads. So I really wanted to have one that was just kind of the focal bead of a bracelet. It's just magnificent. And then of course I used the smaller rondelles with the rice beads and did a back and forth with 4 of the rondelles and then the rice beads and then the center bead and then the same on the other side. The charms for this one, I used a rice bead and then a rondelle on either side. And I went ahead and added a second one to this one. And for these, I used the 8 millimeter peach beads along with the faceted rounds that came from the bag. And I used my own leaf bead caps. And this one, there is no real center component. It's straight across, back and forth between the peach rounds and the peach faceted rounds, the smaller ones. And for this one, the charm is the flat bicone, one of the flat bicones. I just felt that matched way too perfectly. I mean, the exact same shade as those small faceted rounds, and I thought that looked awesome. All right, and then this last one that I made, also the peach beads. I went back and forth between the rice beads and the 3 millimeter spacers from my own stash. And for this one, I used a toggle clasp from my own stash because, like I said, 5 came in the treasure bag. But as I was creating bracelets, I was just kind of continuing to create because I wasn't thinking about how many toggle clasps came in the bag. And when I had 6, I was like, oh, whoops. But that's okay. So I included one of my own toggle clasps. The center component are 2 of those peach beads with a rice bead in the center, and then the other half is the same. So the 2 sides are the exact same. Of course, the loop of the toggle clasp, and then the 2 charms are just a rice bead with the spacer beads on either side. So here are all of the bracelets. Of course, the one I made here today in the video, and the one I kind of started off here in the video, and then the rest. All of these are made with the same method, the same process. So if you like the order of any of these bracelets, you would use the exact same method that I used to create this first bracelet to create any and all of these bracelets. All right, so I'm going to set these up on my display so we can see them a little bit better. All right, so here they are. I am super happy with how they came out. I just think that each one is so unique and so pretty. So if we start over here and we zoom in a little bit, you can see how that handmade charm on each one of them just really ties into the design. In most cases, using the same beads that were used in making the bracelet, it can just make a huge difference. And I really think that they turned out quite nicely. All right, so there you have it. If you like this video and you want to see other videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I love reading my comments. You guys are so kind. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.